If you're thinking about buying a townhouse in Toronto, stop, because townhouse is the most misleading word in Toronto real estate. You're thinking you're buying one thing, but in reality, you're buying something else. If you choose the wrong thing, it quietly drains you every month and then hits you with a bill that feels like a second down payment. There are 6 different townhouse types people lump together as townhouse in Toronto. I know there's that many. And if you pick the wrong one for your lifestyle, you'll pay for it with hidden fees, daily inconveniences, and resale headaches. Today is the ultimate Toronto resale townhouse guide. We're breaking down every type, the traps, the real costs, and the sleeper best value. And stay till the end, because the sleeper best value is not what most people think. This isn't a don't buy a townhouse video. Townhouses can be a great move in Toronto, especially if you're moving up from a condo or you want more space without jumping straight into a freehold house. But here's the problem. Most buyers decide based on a few things: price, photos, and does it look nice? And regret usually shows up after closing. I'm talking about the stairs you didn't think about, the parking setup you didn't understand, and the monthly fee you assumed was small. And then there's the rules you didn't realize you agreed to, and the repair responsibility you thought was the condo corporation, but isn't. In a minute, I'll give you the fastest way to tell what type you're looking at, because listings absolutely blur the lines. I see this all the time on realtor.ca. And here's the rule to prevent most townhouse regrets. Before you fall in love with any townhouses in Toronto, you need to answer these 2 things. Number 1, is there a monthly fee? Yes or no? And what does it cover? Number 2, who is responsible for the outside? I'm talking about the roof, windows, the roads, snow, garbage, landscaping, because that's where the real long-term costs live. Okay, so let's break down the 6 types of townhouses. In Toronto, townhouse is a spectrum. On one side, you have townhouses that live like condos. You trade control for convenience. You usually pay a monthly fee, and you play by a set of rules. On the other side, you have townhouses that live more like houses, more control, fewer rules or no rules, but more personal responsibility. And in the middle is where the buyers get confused and they overpay. So here are the 6 types we're going to cover today. Stacked townhouses, podium townhouses, traditional townhouse complexes, townhouses with private road fees. They look like houses, but still have fees. POTL townhouses, this POTL, parcel tied to land, and traditional townhouses. These are the classic real townhouses, which can interchange with the word row houses. And the biggest trap isn't always the cheapest one. It's the one that looks like the best of both worlds, but quietly isn't. So let's first talk about stacked townhouses, because there's so many of these in Toronto. This is basically one home on top of another, an upper unit and usually a lower unit. From the street, it actually looks like a normal townhouse, but the living experience is completely different. Here's trap 1 with these stacked townhouses. It's the nice basement problem that I called. If you're in the lower unit, you're often partially below grade. That can mean less natural light. And you feel like you bought a townhouse, but you're living in a basement. Trap number 2, you got someone above you and beside you. So you can get footsteps overhead, noise traveling through walls, and I can hear life happening sort of feeling. So it's almost like you're living in the same space as your neighbor. Trap number 3 is the day-to-day friction. Here's what a lot of buyers underestimate. If parking is not directly connected, you're walking outside to access your car. So now imagine, here's the things that you might not have thought about. Talk about winters, getting groceries, doing a Costco run, strollers, baby seats. The reason why I'm listed all these, because I dealt with these myself, and I lived in a condo townhouse, and a lot of these were pains. When I moved into these townhouses, I did have a kid, and they were very young. So went through all of that. So this isn't dramatic. It's just annoying everyday stuff. And the reason I'm harsh on this, it's simple. A stacked townhouse can work for a phase of life. But if you're thinking kids, or you're moving up from a condo because you want easier day-to-day living, sometimes this does the opposite. Now, the next type is often in great locations, but you pay for that convenience in a way buyers don't notice up front. Type 2, these are podium townhouses. These are townhouses built into the base of a condo building. Well, the upside is very obvious. They're usually at great locations, usually down in the core. Walkability is very, very high. And sometimes they're very close to subway access, which could be very great for transportation. And you get full building amenities, meaning you have access to the pool, the party room, and everything else that comes with a condo. But here are the traps. Trap 1, your fee behaves like a condo tower. Even though you have a front door, you don't have to deal with the elevator. The monthly fee often reflects the whole building's ecosystem. So you're paying exactly like if you're living in the building. And as the unit size gets bigger, the monthly fee starts climbing and almost into car payment territory. Number 2, you're tied to the big building decisions. So you're connected to reserve fund decisions. Building insurance increases, which affects your maintenance fees. Larger repairs that you didn't personally choose. Again, not automatically bad, but you're buying into a system. And trap 3, this can apply to almost all the townhouses, but I've seen this a lot in Podium ones. Stairs can multiply. So a lot of Podium townhouses are 3 stories. So if stairs annoy you now, they'll annoy you later. In a minute, I'll tell you the single best question to ask about fees that instantly reviews whether townhouse is a value or a future headache. So let's talk about type 3. These are traditional townhouse complex, often the sleeper value if it's well run. This is what many people think when they picture a townhouse, a row home in a complex, identical. You usually get more normal layout. Sometimes a yard, sometimes a patio, sometimes a rooftop deck, often a garage that's connected or surface parking. And you usually pay a monthly fee. And this can be the best value in Toronto resale, or it can be a trap. Here's trap number 1. People judge fees emotionally. Buyers hear monthly fee and they completely shut down. But the right way to judge it is not emotional. It's what does it include? And if there's any big repairs coming, you usually see that in the status certificate. Trap 2, talk about surprise bills. So if a complex needs major work, I'm talking about the roofs, windows, shared common areas like walkways, underground garage repairs. This is a big one, which I see in a lot of condo townhouses. And the reserve isn't big enough to deal with all those things I mentioned. Owners can get with a big bill. That's called a special assessment. And you don't want to discover that after you move in. And I see that some complexes in the city where they have these future repairs, a lot of buyers shy away from them. Trap 3, rules that change your lifestyle. So some of the restrictions that can affect you are like pets. Are you allowed to have a dog? If you have a dog, what size? Sometimes even breeds. Rentals. Are you allowed to rent your place? Exterior changes. This is usually a big no-no because usually a lot of the townhouses have very similar look. And parking. What does that look like? And visitor parking. This is a rarity in Toronto because of the lack of space. You see a lot more visitor parking in these town complexes when you're like in North York and away from the core. So think about these. It's not about right or wrong. It's about the fit. How does it fit you? Because these are things that you might have not thought about before. One of the most confusing category in the Toronto townhouse category, because it looks like a normal townhouse, but it still has a monthly fee, albeit small. These are townhouses with private road fees. So they look like freehold homes, but they're not. And this is where buyers feel tricked later because sometimes this is not even disclosed. I've seen sellers not disclose that there's a fee for the road, albeit small, it's still a fee because you think, great, a townhouse with a garage feels like a house, done. Everything looks like a freehold. Then you realize the road is private. So that's trap number 1. These private roads have private responsibility. That means the city's not doing snow removal. Sometimes they don't even remove the garbage. And it's paid privately between all the owners on that street. Same idea with dealing with the garbage, like I mentioned earlier, road lighting, that may be another. Shared landscaping, because sometimes there's patches of grass or landscaping along the road, and sometimes the shared drainage that you have to take care of personally. And trap number 2 is that small fee is a forever fee. You think you're buying a freehold, you're not. So it might start off 100, maybe 150 to 200, but it is with the townhouse forever, and it can rise. Also, there could be high unexpected special assessments. And sometimes these fees won't cover the larger repairs to the private roads and common elements. And when that happens, every owner has to chip in. And trap number 3, resale confusion. Some buyers don't care. Others avoid it completely because they see a fee. And that affects resale demand depending on the market you're in. Now, the next type is the one I see families underestimate the most because the trade-off doesn't show up until you actually have to live there. So type number 5, these are POTL townhouses, POTL townhouses. These are built like normal freehold townhouses, but they share common elements. usually walkways and underground parking areas. And they're sometimes next to condo townhouses, which can cause a lot of confusion. You can get decent square footage, but the big sacrifice is usually you have no backyards and obviously the fees. So trap number one, people underestimate the no backyard. No backyard sounds fine until you have kids. You want a dog. You want outdoor space without scheduling it. And you don't have to go all the way to the roof. That's the other thing. A terrace can be nice, but a lot of times it's not the same thing. I had one before where I had to go up to the roof. It was great initially, but having kids, we never went up there. It was so annoying. Trap two, stairs become your daily workout. A lot of times these homes, they're tall and narrow because they're not stacked. So the builders try to build as many as they can. So they go up instead. So you're going up and down constantly. It's actually not too bad. We got used to it and our legs thanked us later. Trap number three, they're very confusing because they're usually listed for sale as freehold, but they come with a POTL fee. And you're also responsible for the whole structure. As essentially is freehold, that's on common element land that you're essentially almost renting. Type 6, traditional townhouses. These are classics. You have front door, you have garage, have backyards, bedrooms, upstairs, basement. These townhouses are sometimes called row houses. And sometimes they don't even look like semis because there's usually townhouses where 3 houses are next connected to each other. So the one in the middle is connected to other one. The ones on either side, they look like semis, but they're actually townhouses. So this category is usually the most demand because it's freehold. And they often hold the best value of all the properties I just listed. But it still has traps. Trap one, overpaying because it feels safe. In Toronto, they're priced pretty high because it's freehold. Sometimes they cost even more than semis, depending on how big the townhouse is. Trap two, renovation. Many of these are usually century homes. They're much older homes. So you're going to inherit a lot of things that come with these homes, like the windows, the roof, plumbing. A lot of times they're the Victorian style. So you have to make sure that there's no heritage designation, especially when you're renovating. Sometimes you can't change the facade. And you can't change the facade, you have to uphold that look. And you have to get approval before doing renovations. Even with a good inspection, home inspection, you can't see completely behind the walls. You could look for, the inspectors have infrared guns, moisture detectors, but at the end of the day, these are older homes and you have to inherit some of the old bones. So here's the Toronto Traps checklist. So this helps you make decisions. I want to zoom out for a sec. Regardless of the type, here are the traps that cost people real money. Fees you don't understand. That's one. Surprise bills when big repairs come due. So make sure to check that status certificate and rely on your realtor to know that there's any hidden costs with that complex. Responsibility confusion. Who pays for what outside? There's confusion on that. A lot of times the roofs are covered, but sometimes they're not. The windows, not sure. Front door could go either way. And remember the stairs and friction. So what feels small becomes daily. And think about the resale buyer pool. Unusual steps reduce demand. When they cause confusion, buyers back out. And here's the honest way to look at all this. A townhouse isn't just a purchase. It's a lifestyle contract. So let's look for the sleeper best value and who it's for. So what's the best value in Toronto's real estate when you're looking at townhouses in the 800 to the $1.4 million mark? Here's my take on this. The best value is a well-run traditional townhouse complex. So not always, but often, because you get a normal townhouse layout, sometimes a patio and yard. They're often in good locations, and they're usually at a lower purchase price than the classic traditional townhouse. I'm talking about the row house. And if the monthly fee is reasonable and the complex is well managed, the math can be great. But the key words are well run and well managed. That matters a lot. If the management is weak and the reserves are weak, it stops being a value and becomes a trap. Here's a quick scorecard you can screenshot. Before you buy any Toronto townhouse, what type is it? Is it stacked, podium, complex, private road, POTL, or traditional? Is there a monthly fee? And what does it include? And what big repairs are expected in the next 5 years? You might not know this, but at least look at the status certificate, see if there's anything on the books right now. And who pays for the exterior items? Again, look on the status certificate and the bylaws and declaration that explains it. And how many stairs will you climb every day? That's something to pay attention to. And how is parking actually set up in real life? Like how far is your spot from your front door? You should really know that. Or even not that, can you drive up to the townhouse and unload your groceries? That's a good secret between some of the townhouses. And would a future buyer hesitate on this? So if you can't answer these clearly, you're not guessing. You're buying with a plan. The townhouse can be a smart move in Toronto, but townhouse hides 6 different realities. Buy the right type for your life, and that's a great step. Buy the wrong one, and it's death by 1,000 cuts. Thanks again for watching.